All right, so I'm just doing a really quick live stream just to show, because I have to do this anyway for a client. So I thought I'd show you guys how I convert art from pixel to vector, from rasterized files to vector files. This is some art that I inked digitally for a client. So there's my black and white layer, and then here is my color layer. And I'm going to take off the background, which is white, and you can see that there's a couple things I have to do before I can convert this to vector. Like I need to get rid of all the white on here because I just painted it on. But what you're going to notice is when I do line work for flat t-shirt arts, I tend to try to make sure that it is aliased. So it has like this like step ladder feel when you zoom in, and that'll make more sense in a second. So what I need to do first is basically convert out so that it's just one flat color. And when I'm using my selection tools too, I want to make sure that anti-aliasing is off. Aliasing is when it goes directly to the pixel, aliasing is when it goes directly from pixel to pixel, like this square, one square to another. Whereas aliasing is this obnoxious thing where it looks cool on the screen. Hey, Chris, how's it going? I'm showing people real quick how to kind of convert stuff to vector. So we'll see. I'm helping my son with homework too, so we'll see how quickly I can do this. So basically, making sure that my art's all aliased, which is great. Luckily, I already set it up that way. With continuous off, I think continuous is off. I'm going to select the color that I'm trying to isolate. Like this is before I can vector it. And like I said, I want to make sure anti-aliasing is off because anti-aliasing causes like a blur of that edge from what I recall. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to actually create this same layer as just a flat layer of black. So I'm going to make a new layer now that I have that blank selection. And then I'm going to fill, which is Shift F5, but I'm going to make sure black is in the foreground. So Shift F5, foreground color, boom, done. And then I'm going to lock my transparent pixels, and I'm going to call this yellow because it's like that orangish yellow that I had on my second color. So there we go. We got yellow. I'll delete that because right now that's really all I need. And then I need to check out if like I have any white left in that. No, I don't. Okay, great. So now I've got my second layer, which is my line layer. And I'm pretty sure I don't have any white lines on this because of the way I created it, which is cool. And I'll probably do some tutorials and stuff on how I would create something like this, especially like a two-color job. But right now I'm just going to show how I would convert this. So now I'm going to call this line color. Okay, so now what we've got, I'll turn on the background so you guys can see it. So now what we've got is a line color, right? And I have my background layer, which is white. How you doing, Chris? What are you up to? Okay, so then I'm gonna basically file, save as, and I'll turn the visibility on, and I'm saving this as, and this is my art for the amber fisherman. So I'm gonna call this amber line. And then what I'm going to do is turn off the visibility of the line color, and I'm going to go to the colorway, which is now black, and I'm going to call that file save as. And I'm going to actually save this as amber color 1. If I had multiple colors, I'd do the same thing. I forgot to do one other thing, which is if you want to have really wonderful, lovely color on art, what you want to do is actually something called trapping. So basically, if I want to have this really stand out, where like, let's say they screen print black over the color, I want to do trapping, so I'm going to go select, modify, contract, and I'm going to contract it by like 2 pixels. So that's going to just do a selection that's trapped within the line, like it allows a little wiggle room if the registration's off when it's screen printed. I'm going to go to the second layer, that's the line layer. I'm going to unlock that layer. I had forgotten to do this. I was about done. And then I had forgotten my nice trapping. I'm going to basically shift F5, fill with foreground color on that yellow layer. And now I have like a nicely trapped color. Did I expand that too much? Let's find out. I'm going to just really quickly just test it just by, I don't know, I'll fill it with any random color. Yep. So all the colors all trapped in there. I'm going to go back. So I didn't expand it out. That's good. Yeah, should be good. So I'm going to undo that. And then I'm basically going to resave this file, save as, and I'm going to save this as line. No, this should actually be saved as color 1. So I'll just save Command S. So that's all I need to do in Photoshop. So now I have basically like my line screen for color and my line screen for black and white for my 2-color t-shirt design. But my client wants vector, and I made this in raster because I like the responsiveness of brush, like ink brushes in it. So what I'm also going to do is, the neat thing is if you wanted to just screen print from this file, that would be possible. But what I'm going to do is save this, and I'll just save this as seps because that's my color separations. And all of that's done. Great. Lovely. Okay, so now I'm going to open that art file. I'm going to basically open, I'm going to take it, each file I'm just going to drag. So I'm going to go to, I don't need seps. I just basically need, and here I'm going to put, actually I forgot to put all these old files out of the way so that I don't get them confused with the new files. So there's my amber line, right? There's that's the 2, my amber line, my amber color. This is my amber fisherman design for a client. Okay, so now I'm going to basically take amber line, I'm going to drag it and open it in Photoshop, and this might take a little bit to load. I am hoping I can knock this out before I have to go help my kid with homework. Nice. Chris is saying he's cleaning up designs for a fun pirate project. Dude, that sounds awesome. Pirate projects are great. And he says, I mean, it's pirate themed, not illegal, which is good to know. I'm glad you're not pirating stuff, Chris. Okay, so here we go. Now it's going to have this option where it says flatten layers to a single image or convert layers to objects. I'm going to say flatten those layers. Flatten those layers. Oh my gosh. Now, hopefully my Illustrator doesn't suck right now. That's another thing. Sometimes it's a computer issue. If so, I might need to force quit out. Oh, there we go. Okay, I thought I was going to have to force quit out. Luckily, I don't have to. I have a very sloppy workplace. Okay, so here is my embedded file, right? And what I'm just going to do, I'm going to show you a real quick cheat that uses image trace, which is really great. So I did all this artwork. Now I want to convert it to vector. Now I'm going to go to image trace. And let's see. Ooh, look at that. I'm losing a lot of detail. So let's go to window, and there should be image trace. Oh, I just closed it. I had it pulled open. Window, image trace. Okay, so what we're going to do is pull open the image tracing options. We're going to get rid of this extra corners stuff, which is altering the corners so that it will look better. We're going to get rid of some of the noise. And then what I'm going to do is up the path, which is basically like the accuracy of what it's what it's trying to convert. And I might turn the threshold down a little bit. And this requires a lot of play to kind of make this work. And I might even need to turn the corners off completely. And turn the line off completely. Turn my path up a little bit. 100 might be too much. Got it. Okay. And then threshold, I might have it come up a little bit. Just a little bit. Maybe a little bit more. So let's try to do that. See what happens. Ooh, no. Usually this works. Unfortunately, like those hair thin lines might be problematic on the art. So let's see here. I want that threshold down a little bit. Might turn the paths down. It just kind of takes a little bit of playing, and you are going to lose a little data. Usually this is about a 5-minute process, but this might actually be complicated because of some of the detail levels in here. Okay, new trick. So unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to lose a little bit of detail. Yeah, right? Like Chris was just saying, you don't want to lose too much of that fine hatching. And I totally agree. So what I think I need to do is actually, okay, so we're going to redo some of this business in here. It was worth a shot. But what I'm going to do is go back to my line seps layer. And what I'm actually going to do is literally, now this is going to blow out the edge of the file, and that shouldn't be a problem. But you'll see what I'm talking about when I do this. So I'm actually going to make this 25, or like let's make it 30 high, 30 inches high. So I'm basically increasing the size of the art. And I'll zoom in and show you what I was talking about with that's going to raster, that's going to blur the edge of what I did in theory. See what I mean? And I need that to be like a step ladder. So here's the fun thing I'm going to do. First, I'm going to actually make a copy of this background. This is just a workaround to if your art is too detailed like that one just was. I'm going to this is just kind of spitballing, but this should be merged down. And I'm actually kind of glad that came up because that can show like a little bit of a workaround. Okay, so I've just basically made these black and white, solid black and white files. Very easy fix. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to up here and I'm going to go to threshold, which basically takes your image and makes it a solid, well, it should, in theory, take your image. Threshold. There we go. And it makes it like that solid step ladder that you need. And then here, I'm going to take it and go image, adjustments, threshold. Boom. So I should be able to do that. And look at that. It's nice, solid art still. And it's at about like 5 inches taller than it was before. I could separate these out, but all I need really are these flat layers. So once again, I'm going to take this, I'm going to save it as, well, first we'll save it as amber seps. So I'll save file, save as. And the only thing that kind of sucks with live trace is that where you have to kind of do workarounds to try to make it work. But this will kind of make sense in a second. So this one is amber color 1. And it's going to say, do you want to? Yes, I want to replace it. Thank you. And then I'm going to do this one as file, save as, save on your computer, and amber line. Okay, now let's see if this fixes the issue now. Okay, so I should be able to now take amber line, drag it to, once again, flatten layers to, yes, come on. All right, now let's try. So it's a little bit bigger of a file, and so that should actually allow the image trace to get a little more detail in what it gets without blowing out all the details of the image. Let's find out. Woohoo! This is fun. Okay, look at that. Way less detail blown out from the image. And now I'm going to basically do that same fine tuning, but I don't have to sacrifice as much with that little cheat of just blowing up the artwork and then making sure that, like I said, it's aliased. So now I'm going to basically take the noise. You still will lose a little bit of detail, but you're going to be surprised how much less detail you lose. And this is one of the reasons I think the image trace thing is not like something you should be using a lot as an artist, but I do think it's underutilized. It's a lot better than it used to be. And the cool thing about this is once this art is done, then my client can literally make this a billboard, have it, you know, like basically anywhere, anywhere they want. And any size they want, and not like sacrifice too much quality, which is kind of cool. So we're still going to have a little bit of blowing out on the lines in the hair, but I'm not as bothered by that. I do kind of want to see if I can make it a little darker and not lose too much of those hairlines. And if I need to, I can always cycle through it like 20 times. The sizing thing that I was just talking about. But I actually think this is fine. So I'm going to go to ignore white. That used to not be much of an option when it comes to that. Ooh. Okay, that blew it out way too much. So let's get rid of that again. Okay. So I do want to do maybe my threshold a little bit less. Let it kind of register that. I think I might put my path up even more. Usually with the path, as long as you're kind of going, like you don't want to go full to 100% because then it starts creating these wonky wobbly things. There we go. So you kind of play with the threshold, the paths, the corners, trying to make those low, the noise, try to make those as low as possible. Here I'm going to hit that ignore white button again. Keep in mind this takes a lot of processing power, and then I'm also streaming this through through OBS, which equally takes a lot of processing power. And look at that. I have this nice, just great like vectorized line. Okay, so now I'm going to go to Object, Compound Path Make, and that will basically do it for my line. I'm also going to get rid of some stray objects. Like I have like this little thing. Boom. The nice thing about this is it's pretty accurate to the original. So now what we want is to do the same thing. So first I'm going to save this. So I'm going to save this as amber color. I'll just call this amber vector. Okay, so now I'm going to lock this layer because this is going to be my line layer. And then this is where the fun part comes in. So check this out. I'm going to basically go to it says, I try to save settings, but it always takes some trial and error with the image trace sliders. Yeah, for sure. But it's a good little like trick for somebody who might be like, crap, I got to vectorize this. And they're thinking they have to redraw an entire illustration. And as long as you had clean art that has clean steps, you should be good to go. So here, the nice thing about the color layers is usually it's not quite as difficult. So once again, I'm going to take this, do image trace. And you can lose a little bit of detail on flat color like this and not have too much of an issue. So I'm going to basically do ignore white. Keep in mind, I made these all from the same file, so the boundaries of these files are all the same. I'm going to go to expand. Now I'm going to cut this, Command X, and then I'm going to make another layer, drag it underneath my line layer, Command F. That pastes in front. I'm going to do the compound path make again, object path. Wait, not path. Now I'm blanking out on where that is, even though I made it just a few minutes ago. Let's see. I think it's compound path make. There we go. Boom. And then, okay. So now how do I get, so now I have my color and I have my line, right, layer. So they're on two layers. And by the way, I'm going to name my line layer line. I'm going to name my color layer yellow. If you're working with a client that wants Pantones, then you could provide a specific Pantone. And I always recommend not only to use the Pantone swatch, but you can also call out your Pantone number down here. And usually screen printing is done with PMS solid coded, or Pantone Plus is another series that it's still solid coding. It's just a different name for it. So now what I'm going to do is drag my PSD file. Ooh, wait a minute. I'm going to make a new layer on top. I'm going to drag my PSD file here, and then I'm going to have that PSD file here. I'm going to basically take this yellow layer. I'm going to eyedrop my yellow. And there we go. We pretty much have like a vectorized version of the artwork. So now I'm going to lock the yellow. I'm going to delete this. And there we go. We have done in about, I don't know, 10 minutes or something, vectored a file. So now I'm going to basically take these, save, and I'm going to close it out. And like, once again, you can kind of noodle with it. You can make the file really huge if you worry about too much about data loss. I find that like sometimes I've done too fine of detail in the raster artwork. And so actually some of that blowing out is really good in the sense that it's going to be easier for a screen printer to work from my AI file here than my vector file. But almost close. Like it's just kind of blowing out a few of the details, which will actually help align screen. So I'm actually excited about that. And that is pretty much it. That's how you vectorize a Photoshop file. So this is like a really quick tutorial. I just figured since I have to do this for a client, I might as well show you guys how I do it. If you have any questions or anything like that, leave them in the chats. Chris, thanks for joining. Now I got to go help my kid with my homework. And if you guys like this or found it helpful, please go pick up my book, 2 Stories, which is a graphic novel about faith and mental illness that I've illustrated. And this was all hand illustrated, so it was done pen and ink. And then definitely not vector. But if I needed to turn this to vector, now you know how. So I hope that was helpful. Chris, did I miss anything? I hope I nailed everything important. All right, guys. We will see. Chris, too, who joined us in the chats. You can check out his art on chriscaligula.com. Really good illustrator. All right, guys, have a good day. And now I'm going to go help my kid with my homework because I finished my freelance. So, all right, have a good day.